This video is brought to you by my recent viewing of the Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because that was traumatic and painful. I don't care how beautiful the cinematography was, or is it the CGI, if it's that far gone. Today we're going to be talking about traumatic fictional deaths. At first when I thought of this video idea, I was like, that is like too dark. But the second I was like, oh, a list of fictional deaths. I came up with 20 on the spot. So I've narrowed it down to 10. If you want to make this a game show, open your notes app and write down your 10 most traumatic fictional deaths. This includes TV shows, movies, and books, by the way. We'll say the title so that you know if a spoiler is coming up for you. And I figured we should just go in numerical order because I'm pretty sure my number one caused permanent damage. That death is from Allegiant, the third Divergent book, and that is Tris Prior. I could not breathe. I was in so much emotional agony. I was reading this, so I got it the day it came out. I had been waiting for this finale, and I had been so excited because we were getting alternate POVs between Tris and Four. Me being dumb didn't realize why. When I realized that she had actually been shot and it wasn't just some simulation, I was so upset. I can't even explain. I was crying so hard. I was just so swollen as my heart. One of my best friends had also read Allegiant the night before, and so when we showed up to school the next day, we locked eyes across the room and just ran to each other and hugged. Up next is something I would not have suspected from me, and it's actually a TV show and not a book. It's from Merlin, a TV show that apparently came out forever ago, and I only heard about it like last year. Listen, I know the CGI isn't great, but it's such a good story. And this death occurred in the final episode. After like, what, 7 seasons? Arthur dies. I, first of all, didn't expect this because in every retelling, I thought Arthur just lived to be super old. I didn't know that there was any part of the myth that had him die at like 19, 20, however old he was supposed to be. When Arthur died, I was inconsolable. I cried for an hour. I was empty inside. And it wasn't like I cried and got it out. It'd be like I would cry and then I would calm myself down and then I would think about it and then I would start crying again. Number 3 is an old one that was required reading for my 6th grade class. The book is Where the Red Fern Grows, and if you haven't read it, I'm gonna spoil it for you because don't read it. Both of the dogs die. And I get it. It's a dog novel. Of course the dogs die. I was like 10. I didn't know that that was like a rule for dogs in fiction. We were doing popcorn reading. There were only 2 people in my class who could even read anymore. The rest of us were crying, passing around a tissue box while these other 2 guys read about these dead dogs with their guts out on the ground. What even was that? Number 4 is from The Fault in Our Stars, which at this point I think everyone knows. Big death is Augustus Waters at the end. I was unwell in the book. I was even more unwell in the theater. I forced all of my friends to go to that premiere, the one where they had like a little break and then they interviewed John Green and the cast and stuff afterwards, and you got the poster and the bracelet. I was there for it. And let me tell you, when those lights came up, I booked it to the bathroom. I don't like to be seen post-cry swollen. It is embarrassing to me. And funny enough, we seem to sit in the order of emotionalness. I was leading the pack in sobbing levels, and then next to me was my friend who had also just read the book and she was not okay, and then down at the end of the row were my 2 friends who I like don't think I've ever seen them cry, and I've known them for almost 20 years. Next is from The Knife of Never Letting Go, aka Chaos Walking. I read this book because Tom Holland was in the movie, and that was the only reason I picked it up. I love Tom Holland, and once again, the dog dies. In some ways, this was worse than Where the Red Fern Grows because we actually get to talk to the dog. You can hear each other's thoughts, and this includes animals. And so Manchi, even though his vocab is fairly limited, he essentially had to be sacrificed for the main character, and I guess I didn't learn my lesson because I really did not expect that. Number 6 is from Infinity War. Out of the dozens of deaths in that movie, the one that killed me was Spider-Man. And he comes up and he's stumbling and he's like, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. I lost it. And we left that theater. I was so angry. I walked out of there and I was like, I want to talk to the writers. I want to talk to Marvel. I was like, you do not kill Spider-Man. My number 7 is from the first Hunger Games. I should have expected it and somehow still didn't. Rue, I truly believed that we were getting more than just Katniss and Peeta out of there. I was like, oh, we met Rue and she's the cutest, sweetest, nicest thing on the planet. Of course she's getting out of the arena. I read her death scene like 5 minutes before school started. I was a little freshman in high school. What do you do for the rest of the day after that? Nothing. You just sit there and bask in your sadness. Next up was another guaranteed death from Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas, and that would be Sam. And you'd think that after reading almost all of the series, I read those books in chronological order, so I'd already gotten through Queen of Shadows. I was already in love with, that's a spoiler. I was already in love with her love interest, and obviously, she talks openly about Sam's death in the books, and still, I wasn't okay with it. I remember reading and just closing the book, saying goodnight to my family, walking upstairs, buried my face in the pillow. Another Spider-Man related death. This one was an Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. And I got spoiled for this in advance. I was told there's gonna be a scene where Gwen Stacy is wearing a polka dot dress and then she's gonna fall to her death. I 1000% thought that this was a lie. I've never read the comics. I go to the movie theater. We get through the whole movie. We get to the scene with the polka dot dress and I was like, no, this is not happening, because I thought that just they've made Gwen Stacy instead of MJ. Listen, I should have done my research, but I didn't. Her falling through the thing and the smack with the head. Ugh. The last one should probably be higher up on the list, but I've had a lot of time to let this one simmer, and I've experienced it so many times at this point that I feel like I'm a little more like dulled to it. It's in Harry Potter. It might be in the 6th or 7th one, but at this point, you should have seen the Harry Potter movies. It was Dobby. He was a good elf. I have 2 honorable mentions that did not make the top 10 list, but we still need to discuss. The first one is from Breaking Dawn Part 2, and that would be Carlisle getting decapitated in the fight scene. I didn't read the books till I was like 18. I feel like everyone knew it was fake. Like everyone else I'd watched the movie with knew it was fake, but they kept their mouths shut just for me. And I genuinely believed. I was like, I cannot believe they did this. They're going completely off the rails just for the cinematic effect, and they did. But then they used it was all a dream cop out, but it was like one of Alice's visions or whatever. Still, for that like 8-minute fight scene, I could not believe it. I love Carlisle. And the last one I've actually blocked from my memory. Mufasa from The Lion King. I've been told that I was really not okay. I had to be told that Mufasa was sleeping even though he was clearly dead, because I was a child. Why Disney actually has so many like scary and traumatic scenes in it, I'll never know. But I'm sort of glad I don't remember the initial shock of that, and I just know it as a part of the movie now. And that's my list. If you got all the way to the end of this, thanks. And let me know your list. I'm very intrigued. Don't tell me the characters. If it's like within the last couple years, and if it's from Fourth Wing, don't you dare. Because I am only halfway through, and I'm hoping to review that one next week. Please like this video if you liked it, and click subscribe if you want to talk about more book stuff. I post a good bit on Book Talk, so if you want to follow me over there, I'll put the username somewhere here. My name's Katelyn. Thanks for watching. Bye! P for Papas. It's a Papa's party. You can see the singular brain cell working so hard.